I didn't force anyone to stand up there and act as the debtor. He has the tricks and the knowledge how to confer the debt back onto the creditor.
Right. Okay, bye.
The creditor.
We're gonna do the final part of this. This word kills me. Admiralty-Law for you flipping as dummies. Number 3. Conclusion. This is the point right here.
Remember Adam and Eve? That snake, the serpent, that came and
Usurped
tricked
the little
Eve
bitch.
into eating
A dick.
the fruit
Oops.
of the
Sorry.
tree of the debtor, the tree of knowledge,
Oops. Yeah.
becoming a usufruct of the tree of the foreign military. Well, that's the deception. And the snake is the serpent, which is the foreign militaries that come in,
Yep.
the Vatican.
All right.
Not only did God in the Garden of Eden warn Adam and Eve about that, Christ also warned you about it. So all of the warnings, not only from the Bible are there, but in the very the Latin dictionaries and the very English dictionary, the meaning of the words, if you look closely enough to the meanings of the words, and if you learn how to read sign, you'll see the difference between sign and English. There can be no legal jurisdiction between two separate languages. So when you have...
Is that clear? Sticky ass. There's no jurisdiction between two languages. That's why you say you cannot mix legalese and English. Now to beat these people, you don't recognize legalese and you only write in English.
Dog Latin or debased Latin and English written on the one document.
Yeah.
If you assume that to be one, then that is an incorporation. But if you are grammatically savvy, if you know what you're looking for and you know what you can see, then you will see that the all uppercase text, which is the Babylonian text, and the written English.
Only if I can see that. The article itself. We have the book, so it's not a big deal. If you cannot see it, it's Article 11.147, and that's the Chicago Manual of Styles, the 16th edition. Alright?
Text, which is the Babylonian text, and the written English, when it's separated, the document reads nothing. Nothing at all.
That's our argument. That's number one, and then the second one is this one.
And the debtor, he has this ability, this knowledge, this sorcery, these tricks. But they are only just illusions, tricks, grammatical knowledge. And when you know that, and when you know their dirty tricks, then that's the remedy for the system.
Yeah, what's the remedy?
You always agree. And it's all offer and acceptance.
Conditional acceptance.
So if they offer you the ability to act as one of their citizen debtors.
Dear Mr. Flipping, mind pretending to be a judge, okay? In order for me to act at your direction and follow the stupid instructions contained in your stupid letter, and for me to act as a Mr. whoever, these are my terms and conditions. Boom.
Then you can accept the offer. Absolutely. Yes, I will be a citizen. But what you must do as a remedy is what's it worth to lose your freedoms, your true standing as a man on land. Or in that case, you're standing as a creditor on their ship. You've been invited onto the ship originally as a creditor.
Yeah.
As a guest.
Yeah.
They will look after you on the ship. So you have to weigh that up.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a crew member of their ship?
Or do you want to be a little dick?
So when they offer you a standing as a crew member, and think about it. Think about what it's worth. Offer and acceptance. Do you want to be a crew member? Then maybe you should be paid. You see what I'm saying? then there's no...
It says right there, one has a right to be compensated in order to act as trustee of another one's account. Number one, this thing called a MISTA is not your account. So your conditional acceptance is going to say, yeah, fine, I accept your invitation for me to act as this property of Crown on condition that you agree to give me so much money for it.
conflict.
Thank you very much.
There's no reason for them to assume that you are a belligerent. There's no reason for war. There's no reason for the military codes, the legal codes. There's no reason for the water law military to affect you, because you've already agreed to be a citizen of their foreign corporate ship, the City of London, the bar, a debtor of the bar. That's what you become. So if you want to become a debtor of the bar and be subject to those lying, deceiving,
Bastards.
clever magistrates,
They're clever.
then think about what it's worth. Because many of you just simply, and I, many of us, just simply went along and fell into the standing of the debtors because of our own ignorance and stupidity.
Yeah.
And us thinking that we knew everything. I know everything. I can run a business. But you knew nothing.
You see,
Absolutely.
the thing is, there's a lot of people who know how to run a business. They know how to make money in the devil system, but they cannot read and write English. And the entire game is around that. It's about language. It's a fraudulent use of language. So all you need to do is to learn the proper language, and it's finished.
Do nothing. And when you learn your grammar, and you learn who you are, and you learn the difference between sign language and the English common law language, which is the language of the sea and the language of the land, you learn the differences between them, and you start to recognize them on their documents, and you have the ability for remedy. You have the ability to accept their offer of citizenship. Accept it. Offer and acceptance. But what is the offer? To accept, to stand as the citizen of their foreign unidroit, United Nations corruption.
Yeah.
The remedy is probably simple, isn't it?
It is, but people don't want to do
You
it.
are
Lazy
John
fucking
Henry.
bastards.
You are not John Henry Doe.
Dickhead.
If they force you to be John Henry Doe, then they're committing a crime. If they issue you documents through the mail and you don't accept them through the mail because there's something wrong with the writing on the document, then they still don't have any jurisdiction over you.
Thank you very much.
If you crack open the
Return to sender unclaimed, you moron.
seals of those articles,
Here we go.
or of those envelopes that come, then you have broken the seal into the world of the dead. The spells.
Now
you will be attached to the spell that's attached to that document.
Yeah.
You will find this hard going in some cases. As
it's not
two friends of mine are going through a hard...
Right, people have come with the same situation. This is what we do about it. Alright, because we talk about the problem all the time, but we have solutions here. Now, from the advocacy, this is something we did for someone a while back. This is how we deal with it. Right, so you write to the bank. This is solicitors for the bank. They call themselves TLT LLP solicitors, and they do their corrupt business out of Bristol. So what we do normally is we get the company number and the SRA numbers and whatever reference numbers we need to use and put it there. The reference numbers here are to do with the property reference. You're going to put the location, what they call address. You don't call it an address. You're going to put the account numbers if you have a mortgage or If you have a mortgage, fuck it, you put it all there. What we tend to do is we put on our documents postcode exempt, because you're not in the military grid, so you don't have a postcode. There's a certain way we address our stuff. The point being is this. So what you need to do is to get an advocate, not a lawyer, but an advocate who's going to present these facts for you. And like the guy was saying a minute ago, what you want to do is avoid the controversy. So you don't want to appear to be what they call a hostile belligerent. Because remember, you're under military rule. All right? So if you come across as hostile, they're going to send their troops, who are the bailiffs and the police, and eventually the army, looking the way we're going today. Now, you just deal with their correspondence. So if I try to remember back, this one was to do with a letter saying, if you don't pay us some money, we represent the bank and we're lawyers for the bank and we want so much money, otherwise we're going to take your house away. So the guy came crying as usual, with his eyes, wanting help. This stuff is simple. So he explained to the man, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take over from the advocacy, we're going to write to the solicitors and look for a resolution or a solution. This is the solution. So you acknowledge their correspondence, and for this particular letter, the guy who wrote it from the advocacy identified himself as I, so he's the agent who's dealing with the matter directly. So you don't have to fuss and fight about it. Right, now, there we go. Number one, we have been instructed by you, so you'd be the client, to offer the lawyer in a prompt fashion any remedy that is due, and therefore settle the matter at hand, this mortgage bullshit business, with expediency, so that there is no longer controversy and need for any further action. Because the man said, if you don't do something, we're going to take further action and take it to court and do whatever possession proceedings they like doing. So number one is to remove the controversy by offering prompt settlement. Alright, so that's pretty straightforward, ladies and gentlemen. For the dickheads and assholes and reprobates, you don't know what you're talking about, so just keep blinking, you fool. Or you're going to have a choice where you can open your mind and let the information in. You can be a knucklehead forever. Point number two, say to the solicitor, this means that you no longer have an ultimate recourse. Recourse, could change that word. You should put the re in brackets. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is to get this communication across. So you don't have any ultimate recourse to a court in respect of this matter, as there is no longer a controversy upon which a civil court may adjudicate. Remove the controversy, then we can start doing business, you see. So this is a condition of acceptance. We accept to pay you some money if we see some things. Now from the advocacy side, we've received the money, we have a bag of money to pay you. However, our client wants certain things. Alright? Now, for the facilitation of such prompt settlement, the client, let's call him John Doe, John, requires that you or your client, which is the bank, serve us an affidavit of notification that states and demonstrates the nature of any financial loss that the bank alleges, and also clarifies that a lawful obligation that John did secure and a valid and I can't pronounce some of these words, conscionable contract remains without satisfaction. In other words, produce any valid contract that's not been fulfilled. That's number one, because everything is contract law. Now we have a bag of money for you. However, John has told us to get the contract from you, number one, and also confirmation in writing right, from the bank, confirming that the bank did give the living man known as John a loan, right? And this loan was in form of money of exchange, as opposed to money of account, and that your client is with a license to give loans and mortgages. Now, for any asshole out there, or any knucklehead reprobate who's got a scabby ass that's rotten his brain, the bank does not have a license or a permit to give out loans or mortgages to anyone. The business of the bank is buying and selling securities. That is it. So how come they give you a loan? As they allege, they never give you a loan. Anyway, if you want to find out about money, come to the money talks. Then you can find out how they create money, and that will make life easier for you. Now, next one. Written. This is to do with particular solicitors. So written confirmation that registration of these solicitors with Companies House is at present as an active company, because there's too much shenanigans at Companies House with these companies. Because somebody could register one company, break it out into 10 different other smaller companies. Some of them have a license, some of them don't. Some of them have been registered as dormant companies, and they're still trading. Anyway, that's the reason for that. And finally, the most important one, give a sight of the letter of authority that conferred upon you the right of claim in this instant matter, which simply means in their fictitious world there's something called, I think, the attorneys, Power of Attorney Act, 1947 or 19 something something. Power of Attorney Act. So before a solicitor can act on behalf of a bank, he needs to have instructions. You see. So we're asking to see, you're claiming that you represent the bank, and you're making this claim on their behalf. So where's the letter of authority? As per, we don't do statutes, so that's why in these arguments like that, that is why it's not there. You see, the statute's done here, but there's a different reason. Okay, so that's straightforward. So that's the only thing you want. That's all you want. And then we can pay them whatever money they want. Number one, an affidavit, because they're all commercial transactions. They function via commercial affidavit, you smelly bastard. Right? So where's the affidavit? So if I owe you money, write an affidavit. Write out, you, Mr. Whoever, owe me, Mr. No. You, yeah, it could be a Mr. You, Mr. Whoever, owe me money. I gave it to you on the 7th day. You haven't paid it back to me. I've written to you 3 requests. You still haven't paid it back to me. You take this letter to a solicitor, and he's a commissioner for oaths, and he stamps it. And then there's your affidavit. And you give it to him. If they claim you owe them thousands of millions of pounds, they should be able to do that. Straightforward. Number 2, what kind of money do they give you? Because you could reciprocate. The point for that, for any moron who's got a mortgage and doesn't know how it works, they gave you something called money of account, which means they took your promissory note and put in their computers the amount that was on the promissory note. So if your house was worth £100,000, you wrote a promissory note for £100,000. They took that promissory note, and using that they put in their computers £100,000. That's how they made the money. They never gave you a loan, you idiot. They extended your own credit to you. Do some homework. And don't call me up with this bullshit anymore. Fucking mortgages. Stupidity. How easy is this? I don't even get too much into this. Anyway, and then we kill them on the data protection from the advocacy, because the advocacy is a legal fiction like they are. So we can deal at this level. So we can talk about data protection. So our client wants you to protect their data in this way. Please make permanent record that, number 1, the living soul, or a man, woman, known as, you put your name the way you want to be known. You're the principal, the capital, and the creditor for the original mortgage account, and you put the numbers there with whatever bank that you took it with. Easy, ABC, right? You, John, is a natural. You have the natural standing as a man, and you have something called inalienable rights. They cannot lean on these rights. You have indefeasible natural rights, and you reject and rebuke any presumption that you have a corporate status. So this is for the DPA. So they have to change it. Okay? Because the subject has a right to correction. Now, what you're doing here, moron, is you're making corrections as per DPA. Now, John is the owner for the legal fiction entity known as Blum 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 and any derivative thereof. So here is your copyrighted name or copywritten name. If you're going to use it in business, trademark name, your intellectual property, you see. Now the state legal fiction is now private property. It's no longer public property. So it's no longer subject to your public law, because this is not public anymore. You put it in the private, you fool. Now, in the public, all accounts in association with the legal fiction in the public are accepted for value. That is when they send you the bills, once you've done your due diligence and you filed your paperwork with the relevant fake authorities, then you start accepting for value these instruments, like your bills. We've done acceptance for value in numerous talks. That's old news. Anyway, we were doing acceptance for value, I think, 10 years ago. And today, the same faces who we were talking to about acceptance for value 10 years ago are still looking at us, asking about it, coming up with bills. Say, you fool. Are you going to show me a water bill now, 10 years after I told you how to accept for value these things? But some of these people have realized are beyond help. You can take a donkey to the river, you cannot make it drink. Here we go. Now, what what gives you exemption as a living man out of the stupidity of their fake fiat currencies? These acts that they produced, right? Now it's the legal fiction in their public capacity when he's doing business. All accounts are prepaid and they're exempt from levy. Okay, and the organization and indemnification of the said legal fiction is through these fucking acts. Okay, it's through the in this instance, it could be the US, the UK, Australia. In this instance, the UK Treasury account, by operation of the Bills of Exchange Act in 1882, Bankruptcy Act 1869, and the Gold Standards 1925. We've done these talks about these rubbish legal fiction acts, right? The fourth correction in their fake system, or their records that they maintain, control, right, is to make the next correction that any purported service or process by electronic means is without acceptance of our client, Mr. John, and all automated or automatic decisions will gain refusal. So this is where the AI comes in, because nowadays your taxes are issued by the machine every week. If it doesn't receive the notification that you paid a bill, the machine just churns out the bill and sends it to you. That's how it's working now. However, according to Data Protection Act, you have a right to ask, demand, or whatever term they want to use. You have a right to ask that all matters to do with you, be dealt with by a living man or woman, because you don't accept automated decisions. Now, the more important one is this one we were talking about earlier, or the guy on the video. Neither John nor I are agents or members of the Law Society of England, or that should be the Lawless Society of England, or any other such society or fraternity or cult, and that neither John nor I or we stand under the legalese language or give it any credence, recognition, or acknowledgement whatsoever. These are your terms of doing business with these cocksuckers, right? John stands as no surety, security, or accommodation party for any agent, person, individual, corporation doing business in a derivation of the legal fiction name known as boom, 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 right? And then you go into the construction of the agreement. Now, our client demands that we construct and communicate with you, and any contracts that we get into, any agreements with you or your client, the bank, be in now-time jurisdiction upon a base of the proper grammatical rules of the English language, right? By definition of New Oxford Style Manual, and we also use fourth edition of Black's Law Dictionary, and also the Chicago Manual of Style, to do with construction of the contracts. These are their books. Oxford Manual of Style is Crown copyright. These are their books. And their books say that this language, Dog Latin Glossa, is a language of the illiterate, the boy soldiers of Rome. We don't use it because we don't recognize Rome. We don't do evil. You can get on your knees and suck it, but we don't do evil, right? Now, a strict condition for any and all your correspondence is that it also be in the proper English language. That's the end of the story. Everything they write is going to be in the legalese. You're going to reject it. You're going to send it back every single time. They won't be able to attach to you or to join to you. However, if you're a coward and you're a bitch and you're a pussy boy, they're going to send this stuff, and instead of writing return to sender and sending it back to them, you're going to be afraid. You're going to accept liability for a mistake. You're going to write to them with some stupid argument about common law or whatever crap you write to them about, thereby creating joinder, thereby giving them subject matter jurisdiction, you little dick. Now, further, John wishes, it's a wish of John, and instructs that we take no recognition, but we refuse for cause, we reject, return to sender, which is you, any and all correspondence, communication, and or legal process whose construction is in a language with grammar that includes without limitation corporate logos, hieroglyphs, and illustrative text. This is the glossa. So, as your representative, as soon as we receive any paperwork that is glossed, we refuse it for cause and send it back to them. Also, we've received instruction from John that we take no recognition of any matter whatsoever that concerns a legal fiction or a nom de cure, or they call a civiter mortus, okay, whose styling is in capita diminutio maxima, all caps, and or whose direction is at a legal fiction of the title Mr. So as soon as we receive documents with a Mr. in it, we send it back. That's it. And then the governing of this and any other agreements concerning this matter is going to be through arbitration only. You're not going to go into the fake civil courts. You're going to go into arbitration because it's going to become a private matter. Civil courts are there to enforce public matters. So get away from public. You're not a public servant, unless you are, but this is not for public service, it's for private business. So as long as the mortgage is private, that you went to the bank to get it, and you did not go to the government, so to speak, it's going to go through arbitration, where the judge is not going to have his only responsibility is to enforce public law. That's what a judge does. This is going to be private law, and the private law is right here. This is the private law, this agreement, that you don't accept all this bullshit, and as soon as you receive 1, 2, 3 items from them, you're going to pay them money. That's the agreement right there. Alright? How easy is that? That's a 2-pager. Boom, 3 pages, sorry. It's the initial. They're not going to respond to this. Your next letter is notice of non-correspondence, and then your third is certification of the dishonor. Then they're finished. You got 3 pieces of evidence that you can produce in any court to show that you've acted honorably and that you are willing to settle the matter without controversy. That's how you do it. Alright? How easy is that? Now, we've done this stuff for fools, many fools. However, what I'm realizing is that people are cowards. You set up this